Hi folks, back with another video. We're still in the series Names of God, and today we are on part F. So the first name is Face of the Lord, and that is found in Luke chapter 1 verse 76. It says, "And thou, child, shalt be called the prophet of the highest, for thou shalt go before the face of the Lord to prepare his ways." The next name is fairer than the children of men. That's in Psalm 45 verse 2. And it says, "Thou art fairer than the children of men. Grace is poured into thy lips. Therefore God hath blessed thee forever." The next name is faithful. That's in 1 Thessalonians 5:24. It says, "Faithful is he that calleth you, who will also do it." The next name is Faithful Creator. Faithful Creator, and that's in 1 Peter chapter 4 verse 19. It says, "Wherefore let them that suffer according to the will of God commit the keeping of their soul to him in well doing, as unto a faithful Creator." He's known as a faithful high priest. That's in Hebrews 2:17. It says, "Wherefore in all things it behoved him to be made like unto his brethren, that he might be a merciful and faithful high priest in all things pertaining to God, to make reconciliation for the sins of the people." He's known as faithful priest in 1 Samuel 2:35. It says, "And I will raise me up a faithful priest that shall do according to that which is mine heart and in my mind, and I will build him a sure house, and he shall walk before mine anointed forever." He's known as a faithful witness in Revelation 1:5. It says, "And from Jesus Christ, who is a faithful witness, and the first begotten of the dead, and the prince of the kings of the earth, unto him that loved us and washed us from our sins in his own blood." He's known as faithful witness between us, and that's in Jeremiah chapter 42 verse 5. It says, "Then they said to Jeremiah, The Lord be a true and faithful witness between us, and if we do not, even according to all things, for the which the Lord thy God shall send thee to us." He's known as faithful witness in heaven. That's in Psalm 89:37. Psalm 89:37. And it says, "It shall be established forever as the moon, and as a faithful witness in heaven." Selah. He's known as faithful and true in Revelation 19 verse 11. It says, "And I saw heaven open, and behold a white horse, and he sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war." He's known as fellow in Zechariah 13:7. Zechariah 13:7. It says, "Awake, O sword, against mine shepherd, and against the man that is my fellow, saith the Lord of hosts. Smite the shepherd, and the sheep shall be scattered, and I will turn mine hand upon the little ones." He's known as the finisher of the faith in Hebrews chapter 12 verse 2. It says, "Look unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of God." He's known as the first begotten, and that's in Hebrews 1 verse 6. It says, "And again, when he bringeth in the first begotten into the world, he said, and let all the angels of God worship him." He's known as the first begotten of the dead, and that's in First Revelation chapter 1 verse 5. It says, "And from Jesus Christ, who is the faithful witness and the first begotten of the dead, and unto the priests of the kings of the earth, unto him that loved us and washed us from our sins in his own blood." We've already read that today. He's known as the firstborn, and that's in Hebrews 12:23. It says, "To the general assembly and church of the firstborn, which are given in heaven, and to God the judge of all, and to the spirits of men, of just men made perfect." He's known as the first fruits in Romans chapter 11 verse 16. Romans 11:16 says, "For if the first fruits be holy, the lump is also holy, and if the root be holy, so are the branches." It says firstborn among brethren, and that's in Romans 8 chapter 20, or Romans 8 verse 29. "For whom he did foreknow, he also did predestine to be conformed to the image of his Son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren." He's known as the firstborn from the dead. That's in Colossians chapter 1 verse 18. It says, "And he is the head of the body of the church, who is the beginning and the firstborn from the dead, that in all things he might have the preeminence." He's known as the firstborn son. That's in Luke 2:7. It says, "And she brought forth her firstborn son, and wrapped him in swaddling clothes, and laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn." He's known as the firstborn of every creature, and that's in Colossians 1:15. It says, "Who is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of every creature." He's known as the first fruits of them that slept. And that's in 1 Corinthians 5, 1 Corinthians 15:20. "But now is Christ risen from the dead, and become the first fruits of them that slept." He's known as flesh in John 1:16. And of his fullness have all we received, and grace for grace. He's our fullness. It's known as flesh in John 1:14. It says, "And the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth." He's known as foreordained before the world, and that's in 1 Peter 1:20. "Who verily was foreordained before the foundation of the world, but you manifest in these last times for you." He's known as the forerunner, and that's in Hebrews 6:20. Hebrews 6:20. "Whether the forerunner is for us entered, even Jesus, made an high priest forever, after the order of Melchizedek." He's known as fortress in Psalm 18:2. "The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer, my God, my strength, in whom I will trust, my buckler and the horn of my salvation, and my high tower." He's known as foundation which is laid. That's 1 Corinthians 3:11. It says, "For other foundations can no man lay than that is laid, which is Jesus Christ." It's known as a fountain of life in Psalms 36 verse 9. It says, "For with thee is the fountain of life, in thy light shall we see light." He's known as the fountain of living water in Jeremiah 17:13. Jeremiah 17:13. Says, "O Lord, the hope of Israel, all that forsake thee shall be ashamed, and they that depart from me shall be written in the earth, because they have forsaken the Lord, the fountain of living waters." He's known as friend of publicans and sinners, and that's in Luke 7:34. Luke 7:34. "The Son of Man is come eating and drinking, and ye say, Behold, a gluttonous man, and a wine bibber, a friend of publicans and sinners." He's known as friend closer than brother. That's in Proverbs 18:24. Proverbs 18:24 says, "A man that hath friends must show himself friendly, and there is a friend that sticketh closer than a brother." He's the fruit of the womb, and that's in Luke chapter 1 verse 42. It says, "And she spake out with a loud voice, and said, Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb." He's known as the fruit of the earth, and that's in Isaiah 4:2. says, "In that day shall the branch of the Lord be beautiful and glorious, and the fruit of the earth shall be excellent and comely for them that are escaped of Israel." And he's also known as Fuller's Soap in Malachi 3:2, so the last book of the Old Testament. Malachi 3:2 says, "But who may abide the day of his coming, and who shall stand when he appeareth? For he is like a refiner's fire, and like fuller's soap." So that's the end of this video in part F. Hope you enjoyed and are learning things. God bless. Thanks.